or visit windownation.com.
Tonight, the pressure on the president, and just moments ago, he arrived at the Capitol. The crisis at the border, 10 cities going up to house children separated from their parents. Children now in detention facilities, some kept in cages. And in some cases, parents are being deported, sent home without their children. President Trump today hugging the American flag, doubling down on his zero-tolerance policy. The president just arriving on the Hill to shouting at what he just said. Also tonight, the tornado touching down late today, the tornado watch as we come on the air, as severe storms now hit several states. Meteorologist Ginger Z is standing by. The airport meltdown, the airline forced to cancel over 2,000 flights, why hundreds of passengers have been sleeping at the airport for 4 nights now. The police take down the video that made national headlines, police tasing the famous NBA player who had parked across a handicap spot. Tonight, the new body cam just out, and what it reveals. And fighting back, the woman jogging attacked in broad daylight. You can see her taking on the suspect, and what she does next that saves her.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Tuesday night. And we begin with the breaking news, the tense battle over what's happening on the American border, and the president arriving on Capitol Hill late today. The president and lawmakers on both sides of the aisle now hearing from Americans across this country, reacting to images like these, the tents, the detention centers where children separated from their parents are now being held. President Trump arriving on Capitol Hill late today. Republican senators have reportedly come up with a bill that they believe would end this swiftly. But will the president go along with it? Tonight, more than 2,000 children separated in just the last month or so. And this evening, we learned some of those parents have been sent home, but their children are still here in the U.S. in those detention centers. Well, what the president said just moments ago and the scene from Texas tonight. ABC's Gio Benitez leading us off.
Tonight, from the sky, a sweeping view of the isolated Texas tent city hundreds of migrant children now call home. In these images, you can see some of them walking single file through the camp. They sleep in tents like these, at least 20 beds packed in. Tonight, Customs and Border Protection telling ABC News that in just a month, more than 2,300 migrant children have been separated from their parents. Fox News host Laura Ingraham drawing outrage by comparing the detention facilities to summer camps.
Since more illegal immigrants are rushing the border, more kids are being separated from their parents and temporarily housed in what are essentially summer camps.
The Trump administration tightly controlling the images coming out of the centers where many of them are being held. The metal cages, the children sprawled on thin mattresses, huddling under Mylar sheets. ProPublica obtaining this audio recording, which it says captures their frightened cries. Children begging for their relatives. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, children find themselves separated from their parents an average of 57 days. But for some kids, it's a lot longer. This Michigan couple fosters a 10-year-old boy who, since he was separated from his father 8 months ago.
His father was then taken away in what he described as handcuffs behind his back. And our boy was then detained for 24 hours in a detention facility. But when he came to us, he was extraordinarily fearful. He was afraid to eat. He was afraid to look. His clothes were soiled. He wouldn't use the bathroom.
His father has been deported back to Guatemala, but the boy is still here in the United States, separated from his parents, able to speak to his mother only by phone.
He was overcome. He couldn't talk. He was crying so hard that he was almost to the point of being sick.
The Trump administration says this could all be avoided if parents seek asylum legally at a port of entry, but those places filling up fast. Here in Mexico, this is the walk that migrant families would take to seek asylum, but we're told once they reach the United States on the other side, they're turned right back around. In Texas, scenes like this.
We're not discouraging anyone from entering, we just cannot at this time.
Families being turned away, no room.
Gio Benitez with us live tonight from Texas, just outside that detention facility in Tornillo. And Gio, we're hearing so many stories like the one you just reported there. That little boy's father has now been deported back to Guatemala, but his son is still here in the U.S.?
That's right, David. They say that little boy was afraid to eat, that he was traumatized after seeing his father taken away in those handcuffs. And that's really what child advocates worry about here. David.
Gio Benitez leading us off from Tornillo. Gio, thank you. And as I mentioned a moment ago, the president arriving on Capitol Hill late today, defiant all day, doubling down on his administration's own zero tolerance policy, but blaming the Democrats. The president hugging the American flag after an address to business leaders today. Will he agree to what Republican senators are now proposing late today? ABC's Cecilia Vega at the White House tonight.
Tonight, President Trump arriving on Capitol Hill to meet with Republican lawmakers about the immigration crisis, calling America's immigration system probably the worst in the world.
The system has been broken for many years, the immigration system. It's been a really bad system, probably the worst anywhere in the world. We're going to try and see if we can fix it.
With his White House engulfed in controversy, the president now mounting a forceful defense of his policy to separate migrant children from their parents.
I don't want children taken away from parents. And when you prosecute the parents for coming in illegally, which should happen, you have to take the children away.
The president repeating the false claim that the law requires the separation. Even though there is no law, this is his policy.
People that come in violate the law, they endanger their children in the process, and frankly, they endanger all of our children.
And he is still falsely placing blame squarely on the Democrats, tweeting they want illegal immigrants, no matter how bad they may be, to pour into and infest our country. The images of those children in detention sparking outrage and moving one top Democrat to tears.
Child internment camps. That's what I said. Child internment camps. What country is that? This is the United States of America.
Senator Bob Menendez playing sounds of their cries on the Senate floor.
Those are the cries of innocent children.
Outside of Dallas, the outrage taking over Republican Congressman Michael Burgess's town hall.
I mean, I haven't been sleeping because of what's going on. Do you agree that we need to take care of those children?
We are taking care of those children. Your tax dollars.
Now on Capitol Hill, Republicans feeling the pressure to act. Lawmakers calling the policy cruel, tragic, and an affront to the decency of American people.
I support, and all of the members of the Republican conference support, a plan that keeps families together while their immigration status is determined.
The White House says he doesn't want a quick fix. He wants immigration reform and his wall. His own aides sending confusing and inaccurate messages about why the policy exists. Yesterday, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen bristled when asked if the administration is using these children as pawns.
Are you intending for parents to be separated from their children? Are you intending to send a message?
I find that offensive.
Why?
No, because why would I ever create a policy that purposely does that?
Perhaps it's a deterrent.
No.
But just hours later from the Attorney General.
Is it a deterrent, sir?
Well,
are you considering this a deterrent?
Yes. Hopefully people will get the message and come through the border at the port of entry and not break across the border unlawfully.
What sounded like a clear contradiction there. Cecilia Vega joins us live from the White House. And Cecilia, the Republican Majority Leader, Senator Mitch McConnell, today saying the Senate could act as soon as this week now on a tightly focused bill that he says would keep families together. But obviously the question tonight, would the president even go along with this?
Well, that is the big question, David. The White House says the president doesn't want a quick fix, and there is zero indication right now that any of these measures being debated on Capitol Hill actually have the votes to pass. We have heard the president say the ball is in Congress's court when it comes to the separation of these families, David, but as we have been reporting, this is the reality. This is his measure. He can end this without Congress.
Cecilia Vega, thank you. Next tonight, the tornado watch. As we're on the air this evening, severe storms hitting across several states. This twister spotted in Weld County, Colorado a short time ago. Driving rain in Greeley, Colorado tonight and damaging hail in Aurora. Severe storms now moving from Denver all the way to the East Coast. Millions on alert at this hour. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Zee tracking it all. She's live along the George Washington Bridge for us again tonight. Good evening, Ginger.
Good evening, David. Supercells have been firing in the high plains and dropping hail up to 3 inches. Impressive pictures, and still, now they're lining up, and you could see damaging winds, even tornadoes still. Tornado watch in Colorado, western half of Kansas, severe thunderstorm watch. All of this is happening along a stationary front, a couple of active lows, but there's a tropical wave bringing lots of moisture. I'm talking already 9+ inches in Beaumont, Texas, with another 5 to 10 inches left to fall in that area. So tortured by Harvey. We're going to be watching this for the next couple of days. David.
Ginger, I'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. In the meantime, next to reports of chaos at the airport for days now, a computer glitch grounding 2,500 flights since Thursday, most at Charlotte International. Passengers, look at this, forced to sleep in the terminal for several nights now. Well, tonight the airline says the computer systems are, quote, stabilized, but that it will take days to unravel this mess. Here's ABC senior transportation correspondent David Curley tonight.
The chaos in Charlotte continues tonight.
It's been horrible, just horrible.
Between 200 and 1,000 people have been sleeping in the airport each of the past 4 nights, as 2,500 flights were canceled since last Thursday. One passenger doing a 360, showing just some of the estimated 125,000 passengers of the American Airlines regional carrier who've been affected.
Every time they book us, wait about a half an hour and it's canceled.
Some driven to tears. One woman so frustrated she broke a pane of glass outside the airport, and bags separated from their owners piling up. The American-owned subsidiary, PSA, suffered 2 computer glitches.
It's not a cybersecurity issue. It is a hardware IT applications issue.
Applications to file a flight plan or release a flight. Instead of taking seconds, it was taking hours, so planes and passengers were barely moving until the fix was finalized last night.
We're tired. We're ready to go home.
While the problems have been fixed, American Airlines doesn't expect to return to normal operations at its second largest hub until Thursday. David?
All right, David Curley, thank you. Next from Milwaukee tonight, the NBA player suing the city and police after that police body cam video made national headlines. He says a parking violation then turned into a case of excessive force. The body cam video showing Bucks player Sterling Brown there, surrounded by police, then being tased and arrested. Well, tonight there is new body cam video just out, and what these new images now reveal. Here's ABC's Whit Johnson.
Taser, taser, taser! Tonight, Milwaukee Bucks rookie Sterling Brown is suing the city for race discrimination over this police taser takedown outside a Walgreens in January. And for the first time, newly released body cam video showing one officer briefly pulling his gun out of its holster.
That gun could have gone off, and it would be a whole different story. Sterling Brown could have been dead.
Those officers can be heard joking about possible public backlash.
Because he's placed for the bus, if you make a complaint, it's going to be a media firestorm. Oh, fucking police department is all racist. Blah, blah, blah.
Brown parking illegally in a handicap spot. The officers arresting him, saying they used the taser because he was aggressive and resisting.
You stubbed it on my ankle for what?
It's something that's been happening for years, and I feel like, me doing this it helps a lot.
David Brown was never charged. 3 Milwaukee police officers suspended, but tonight the mayor growing frustrated, claiming police never showed him all of those body cam videos. David?
Whit Johnson, thank you. Next, President Trump ramping up trade tensions tonight, calling for a new round of tariffs on imports from China. This time on $200 billion worth. China's Commerce Ministry calling it tonight, quote, blackmail, and vowing to retaliate with more tariffs on U.S. goods as well. The brinkmanship now making investors nervous. The Dow falling 287 points today. That's the largest one-day plunge in a month. China, meantime, is welcoming a visitor tonight. North Korea's Kim Jong-un in Beijing with President Xi, a surprise visit. It's the 3rd visit this year, and tonight we've learned that here at home, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has abruptly canceled his visit to the Capitol tomorrow to brief lawmakers on the status of the agreement between the president and Kim Jong-un. Here's ABC's Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz tonight.
Kim Jong-un is back on the world stage, bolder than ever, his motorcade speeding him through the streets for his surprise meeting with China's president. Greeted by an honor guard, President Xi lavished praise on Kim for his handling of the historic summit with President Trump.